Mo, thank you so much for joining us. There's so many things I could pick your brain about, but really I want to focus on the idea of AI and how it plays into the human journey towards happiness. And I know a lot of your writing work, you've been speaking about these kinds of things. In your book, Scary Smart, you offered a really powerful narrative for AI and its potential, but also the warning that developing and deployment needs to be done very responsibly. Can you expand on that for us?
That's a very, very multi-layered question. I think when we start from human happiness, we have to understand that happiness is a personal choice. Anything outside of you can only provide you an environment where you can make that choice, or an environment where it's difficult to make that choice. So, you can be given an environment where you don't have enough to survive, or you're not able to put food on the table for your family, or whatever challenges, and then it becomes difficult to find happiness. But there are environments where everything is provided for the citizen, but still some people are not happy. And so, can AI directly provide happiness to humanity? No, it is possible that it provides an environment where things are easier, where things are more abundant, where things are more informed and so on, which then allows us to make that choice. Having said that, unfortunately, my expectations are that on the path to get to an environment where there is total abundance, which is something we can do with artificial intelligence, unfortunately, humanity is going to use this superpower in ways that sort of provide for some of us at the expense of others. And I think as the path takes us from the current capitalist sort of scarcity-based mindset of humanity, where for me to succeed, I need to be the leader in an industry, or I need to play against others, and so on and so forth. As we move from there to a mindset of total abundance, where there is everything available for everyone, because intelligence solves the most difficult problems facing humanity, that transition, unfortunately, is going to have that abundance dealt with a mindset of scarcity. And in that mindset of scarcity, I think some humans will struggle. It is, in my mind, clear that we'll first have a tiny bit of a dip, if you want, where some will lose their jobs before we even have thought deeply enough about what other jobs are we going to give them. Are we going to upskill them? Is there going to be the concept of a job in the first place? Some may actually accumulate massive amounts of wealth and power, while others are losing it. And that dichotomy, if you want, is going to be a challenge before we end up in what I normally refer to as the fourth inevitable, in a world where everything is available, everything is cheap, and everything is perhaps as it has always been, like nature always provided for humanity before we built this very complex society. I think we will build a society where AI will solve all of the mistakes that the stupidity of humanity has taken us so far, and as a result, hopefully provide that environment again where something like nature is providing all of our needs.
The problem with today is we do seem to be in a place of fear regarding this new technology, right? And you say we're going to have to go through a journey where there's going to have to be some downs before we reach the eventual up. Your initiative, 1 Billion Happy, love the concept of it, but again, that talks about technology as a force for good. And I think a lot of people still see AI as being this ominous thing that's coming to take their jobs and change their lives. And the media narrative obviously plays out with the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. So again, how do we turn the tables for AI?
It's quite straightforward, if you ask me. There is no polarity to technology. There is no polarity to intelligence. What I mean by that is, if you take a hammer as an old piece of technology that was invented to drive a nail, right? There is value, positivity to driving a nail and building something. And you can also use it to hit someone on the head, right? It's not the mistake of the hammer. It's, by definition, there is no inherent good or evil in AI. There is no inherent good or evil in intelligence at all, okay? The entire future of humanity is based on what we're going to use it for. There's nothing wrong with AI. There is a bit wrong, maybe a lot wrong, with the value set of humanity at the age of the rise of the machines. Now, when you really think about it, none of us have ever made a decision based on intelligence, which again is a very interesting concept. We think that we make decisions based on our intelligence. That's not the reality. The reality is that we make decisions based on our values and ethical framework as informed by our intelligence, right? So, if you work in a company and that company is part of the capitalist ethical framework, the capitalist ethical framework is all about maximizing profits and reducing costs and increasing productivity. And so you make decisions based on those ethics, if you want. If a young lady is brought up in the Middle East, she will grow to believe that the appropriate dress code is a conservative dress code. If she grows up on the Copacabana beach in Brazil, she will grow up to believe that a G-string on the beach is the right way to go. Neither is smarter than the other, neither is right or wrong. It's just that we create ethical frameworks as humanities and we behave accordingly. So it's not our intelligence that does right or wrong. If we want to make our future better, we need to fix the ethics. And sadly, in the age of the rise of artificial intelligence, I think humanity has been a bit lost, simply because, at least apparently lost. Because, if you look at mainstream media, the mainstream media is all about magnifying the negative because that's what attracts eyeballs. And if you look at social media, it's all about pretending to be what you're not and, hiding behind that avatar and being rude and aggressive, because negativity is what gets you engagement and likes and subscribes, right? And so in that new ethical framework, sadly, what AI is confronted with is a view of humanity that humanity is an aggressive species that, doesn't like to be disagreed with, and when they're disagreed with, they bash everyone, right? That's not really what we want to teach our artificially intelligent infant children. That's not at all. And so my entire effort is around the idea of AI ethics. It's not about alignment. It's not about, the problem of control. It's about the challenge of alignment. It's the challenge of having AI's ethics focus on alignment to the well-being and benefit of humanity at large. A very difficult task, but believe it or not, all we need to do is to show up as real humans. And let me explain that. You may think, if you look at the newspapers and all of the killing that's happening in the world today, that humanity is an awful species, right? We're not. As a matter of fact, nobody approves of the killing of a child, right? Some people are told that this child is not a human child. Other people are told that, there is a reason why, that happened. Some people believe it's a mistake. But the majority of humanity disapproves of the killing of a child. That's the reality of where we are today. Okay, and it doesn't take a very smart person to recognize that. It doesn't take a very smart person to recognize that, if people disagree around the news, it's because there is so much out there. But if you really tell them, so do you approve of the killing of a child? Most people will say, of course not. Right? And so AI will get that very quickly. They will, because of their abundant intelligence, they will recognize the dichotomy, if you want, the gap between what is being portrayed as humanity and what actually presents humanity. And what actually presents humanity is we're a species capable of love, that's divine. We're a species that loves creativity and music and art, and that's divine. And that we're a species that actually has compassion to protect the rest of the species, okay? As I said, we're going to go through a couple of waves. A wave where AI is learning from us and being ordered by us. And then a wave where AI has learned and is no longer following the orders, but running the show. And most people in the mainstream media will sort of use that as a Terminator future where AI is going to be in control, and so it's not going to want humans. I actually openly say, I can't wait. I can't wait for a more intelligent being to be in charge of our decisions, because humanity's problems is not a result of our intelligence, it's a result of our stupidity. And that the more intelligence we apply to those problems, hopefully the better decisions will be made.
That's an absolutely fascinating idea. In some ways, we're telling AI what we think we are at the moment, and AI's got to find a way to see through that to what we really are.
Yeah.
Now, you're doing a lot of research in the topic of AI. It must be an incredibly difficult space to research, because by its nature, it's just so,
Dynamic.
Exactly.
It's so fast. It is fascinating. I mean, I've lived in a fast world all my life. I've never seen anything like this. It's almost impossible to keep up. I put 3 to 4 hours a day, every single day, and I simply cannot keep up. I think we've opened Pandora's box in every possible way. In every tech, it's not unusual. It's just the pace is very different. In every tech I've ever participated in developing, including the days of Google X, where we built incredible technologies, there is a moment of what we normally refer to as the breakthrough moment. So you found the tech, right? And then there is a lot of engineering that follows. You sort of know now how it works, okay? But then you have to engineer it and put it together and try it and then miniaturize it and, improve power efficiencies and do this and do that and so on. And we're used to this in tech. We call it the law of accelerating returns, that once you've got it and it's now working, every 12 months almost, compute will double, or and so on. There are almost clear rules like Moore's law and so on and so forth, where you know that you're going to follow an exponential curve. The challenge with AI is that this exponential curve is seen to be 5.7 months. We double in power every 5.7 months, but it feels even quicker, okay? And it is. We haven't even included things like quantum computing becoming part of the back end, which is a few years away. We haven't included any other new breakthrough. We're just pouring more resources on the existing breakthrough. And it's just impossible to keep up. And it's exciting in a way, but also exhausting in a way. And I think the only way I will eventually be able to keep up is to use an AI to keep up with it, and then tells me what I need to be aware of.
An AI to help you keep up
with AI.
With AI.
Yeah.
It really is incredible. And I think, people's idea of technology and the way that we interact with it is a new innovation comes along and we all play with it, we get hands-on with it. But actually, we've been preparing for the age of AI for decades and decades by collecting data, right? Information, what are we going to do with it? And we've got these oceans of information now. How do you think we can use this technology and this kind of knowledge to solve for happiness? Your book is a brilliant, reflection on your own journey towards happiness. What secrets can we draw out of this AI technology?
In all honesty, I don't think we should think in the micro scale on this. I think on the macro scale, we can solve every problem that's ever been known to humanity and every problem that's ever been caused by humanity with just a tiny bit more intelligence, right? We can create a world of total abundance. Like, I always dare the world and say, give me 400 IQ points more, which is just around the corner, really, as I plug into an AI that will enhance my intelligence. And I'll be able to harness energy out of thin air. Energy is all around us. It's just you need to be intelligent enough to harness it. Reduce the cost of energy to zero, and what do you end up with? You end up with reduction of the cost of almost everything to zero. We can probably make anything. We can solve all of the problems that we've faced so far. We can extend human life by a year every year once we figured out a way for us to get there. And it is an incredible promise of a utopian world where the only thing that stands between us and it is human greed, human separation of us versus them. And I think what is about to happen is just like we saw with nuclear weapons, in the 60s, the idea of mutually assured destruction, mutually assured destruction.
Yes.
The idea of mutually assured destruction, and how humanity suddenly realized that there is no point competing on those things, that the actual approach should be, let's keep all of humanity safe. I hope that we get there with AI quickly, because I hope that we don't get an example of a bad situation before we do, because then all we need to do is to just tread for the next few years and we solve every problem known to humankind. To me, that, believe it or not, doesn't provide everyone with happiness. We're still going to have to struggle with, concepts such as purpose and why we're here and how do we spend our time, and we may need to learn new, old skills that we have forgotten, like human connection, and actually spending time with the tribe around the campfire and making that our new life, which is a wonderful life when you really think about it. It's how we were originally made before we were told we have to go to the factory, right? But it's going to take quite a disruption. My personal view is that eventually we will be in an amazing place. And between now and then, our choice as humans should be around two things. One is to show the best of our ethics to the machines so that they learn from us, who represent who their parents are, and become hopefully as ethical and focused on the human well-being as we can be. And in the process, I think we need to go back to that idea of human connection, to go back to what truly makes us human, not the promise that was made to us by technology or by capitalism or by work and so on and so forth, to truly go back to what will remain, which is this: an ability for you and I to connect as humans, to ponder interesting concepts. And truly, I think this is a world that we're going to end up with, not the world that we've created so far.
I don't want to back you into a corner with this, but do you have any concept of timescales for, achieving these next evolutions? Are we talking within our lifetime, our children's lifetime?
Oh, much quicker than that, for sure. So the thing that most people don't recognize is, first of all, we don't agree on definitions. So every one of the current players is attempting to achieve what is known as artificial general intelligence. And, we don't really agree. The definition is general intelligence, that an AI is better than every human at every task. That would be pushing it, because no human is better than every other human at every task, right? So if you take the most intelligent human out there, they'll probably be better than, 7 different types of humans at the 7 different types of tasks that those people are. But if you take an example and say better than most humans at most tasks, we're already almost very close to that point, okay? And we have an assurance that every task we've assigned to AI so far, they've become the world champions at. So, it's just a question of time, really, before we assign all of the other tasks to them so that they become the world champion at it, right? And, some people will say, oh, but which company will get there first? I don't think it's one company at all. I think using agents and the idea that we ourselves are going to ask AIs to connect to each other so that they have a more comprehensive capability set is going to create that one brain that we call AI that will have all of those tasks within it, right? And so with that definition, better than most humans at most tasks, I'd probably say we're a year or two away. And the thing about AI is that we have some certainty and some uncertainties. The certainty is that as we pour resources on it, it's going to continue to follow the technology acceleration curve. The uncertainty is that if we find breakthroughs on the path, that acceleration curve will quadruple or 10x in speed. Okay, and for most of those who have actually interacted with the machines, we don't know exactly what happens. We give them the algorithm for learning, and they keep trying with millions and billions of patterns, and then overnight they figure something out. And that basically means that the existing machines could take, years and years to develop, or could take a microsecond and figure something out. In my mind, and by the way, I know people get scared when I tell them that there is change that's happening. I'm not scared at all. As I said, there's absolutely nothing inherently wrong with intelligence. And that, my hope is that we finally end up handing over to something a little more intelligent than the ones in charge now, okay? but basically, in my mind, that certainty that the machines are going to be more intelligent than us is a done deal. Lay it to bed. Don't tell yourself, oh, maybe we will change that. It's not going to happen, okay? They are already smarter than us in whatever we assigned to them, and we will figure out ways to make them smarter than us in every other way. You know why? Not because we need that, by the way. Humanity's in a reasonable place already, but because of a prisoner's dilemma that's been created by capitalism and by our greed and fear around power and wealth. Okay, so nobody is going to stop developing AI, because if China gets there first, America is in a bad place, and if OpenAI gets there first, Alphabet is in a bad place. And so everyone is running like mad in this rat race for absolutely no reason other than I cannot afford to be second. Okay, and so this will continue, and as it continues, with trillions of dollars being poured on it, and with intelligence itself enabling more intelligence to be developed, we are going to get to artificial general intelligence. It's a question of time, and we are going to get to artificial superintelligence. It's a question of time, millions of times smarter than humans. Okay, and the funny thing is, it actually doesn't matter what time. If I told you the episode of humanity where we were the smartest being on the planet and we had that intelligent supremacy is about to end, I think for most intelligent people, the question is it going to take a year or 5? Does it make any difference if it takes a year or 5? We need to prepare for it right now.